That's whole place, the video and also.
Is it gone? So it got taken home?
Yeah, the whole post.
Okay, I'll see if she still has it somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, I came up with a
Is it?
I mean, I got there within 30 seconds of the wreck. Running through the time by the door open. It took, look at an 18-wheeler ran by the right and driving the door.
We get a lot of those in too.
Yeah, that they had to turn it on.
It was about a quarter mile outside of me. That was 95.
That was great. Okay, are we running?
Yes.
Okay. So, just so everyone knows, Chris, we are recording. Okay. So, we're gonna go around the room and identify everybody who's in here before we start working.
Chris Wall.
Tiger Hair, attorney representing Sergeant Wall.
Pam Sanders, HR Director, City of Milton.
Chris Noble, Open PD.
Patrick South, Chief of Police, City of Austin. All right, today we are here in reference to IA case 2020-02. And you were given a notice of sustained allegations for neglect of duty and failure to supervise or fail to provide proper leadership. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
This is all related to an incident that occurred, I think, prior to or on or after the 13th. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So, I guess we'll start with when were you made aware of this breakfast with David Gerloff or any information that David had for the purpose of that breakfast?
For the purpose of the breakfast, not till afterwards, probably. If I had to, I would just have to approximate it around noon, around lunchtime. I remember I was at QT's taking a break, and when I checked out, the guys came out there.
So prior to that day, I might need that text message up. Prior to the day of that breakfast, you were not contacted by David in any form or fashion related to what his intents were to conduct that survey?
No, I got a phone call from him after,
It was the first one, and then the second one.
but nothing before that time. No phone call or text message.
Okay, I'm going to show you there's two text messages here, this one here and this one here. How many of you have ever seen this before? Let me make it bigger for you.
Yeah, I think I saw that, but one of the guys showed me after the fact. But not on my phone.
So you weren't one of the recipients on it on the
No, sir.
video? When was the last time that you actually physically saw David Gerloff?
Last time I physically saw him. I think it was maybe a week and a half ago, 2 weeks.
And that was the first time since.
Oh, so the last time I saw him was about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks. Before that, I think the time before that would have had to been when I saw him out in the parking lot the day of his, shoot, I don't remember, Chief. It was one of the times when he was up in the PD. When he was still getting his discipline stuff handled.
So you saw him, let's see, you were interviewed on the 21st of May,
Okay.
right? And you saw him so you saw him at the beginning of June or the end of May?
Yes, probably the beginning of June.
But it was after all of this?
Yes.
And you had really no contact with him other than that between the time he was fired and
No physical contact.
You also communicate, text, phone calls, that kind of stuff?
Yes.
How many times would you think that you conversed with him since his termination?
Well, when we were on night shift, because he works night shift as well, so we talked maybe, I would say 3 times a week, talked on the phone, but since when I went to day shift, we weren't talking a whole lot, maybe because he was still during the day, I was working during the day, so maybe once a week, something like that.
And you don't keep any of those text messages, right?
No.
Is it usual practice for you to delete all your text messages?
Yes.
All right, so let's go to the morning of the 13th. And I guess the first you were ever made aware of this was when Kyle talked to you about it?
Yes.
Okay, so,
About the breakfast?
yeah, let's
Yes.
start there and kind of move forward from that point.
Okay. Oh, so, I don't remember if he either texted me or called me. I think he texted me and said, I don't know if it was text or call. I just remember it was Kyle that contacted me and said, we're gonna go eat breakfast. We're meeting, David Gerloff for breakfast at Least Goes. Do you wanna go? And I said, well, who's going? And he said, well, me and Jaboris. And I said, no, that's 2 of y'all. I'm just gonna stay on the street while you guys eat breakfast. He said, okay. So then after that, it was a few minutes after that, well, before I had left the PD to go on patrol, I had Marco doing some work for me since he was on light duty. And he said that his thumb was in pain, and he said, can I go home? I changed my mind, can I go home because I need to take some pain pills? And I said, yeah. I said, will you finish what you're doing first, and then you can take off, is that okay? And he said, yeah, that's fine. So I left and went on patrol. Those guys said they were gonna go to breakfast. And then Marco called me maybe 5 minutes after Kyle hung up and said, hey, I finished what you asked me to do. Can I go home now? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, I haven't eaten anything. I'm not feeling good. I'm going to go get something to eat with the guys. And I said, okay, make sure you're clocked out before you leave. And he said, yeah, I just clocked out right now. And I said, okay. So I didn't hear anything until, like I said, noonish, maybe 1 when I went to QT's to get something to drink.
Let's hold it for that.
Okay.
One more question, so we'll stop right there. So you've had a number of conversations with David. Would you say it would be fair to say that David is not necessarily happy about the way he left the police department?
No.
Would you actually say he would pretty much be a disgruntled employee?
He doesn't come off as disgruntled. He's just, I think, more hurt than disgruntled and kind of confused. But I've seen disgruntled, I've been in law enforcement for a while, and I wouldn't describe him as disgruntled.
So, and at this time you didn't know anything about his argument?
No, I didn't.
So, they're going to breakfast. Did you ask Kyle or anybody else why they were going to breakfast with David, or did it raise concern for you in any form of fashion?
No, not at all. He said, we're gonna meet David for breakfast. I know David's asked me if I wanna go get breakfast in the morning sometimes because when he comes home, he drives through town. I haven't because when I was on night shift and in the mornings, I try to get on top of breakfast on my way in, type thing. So it was just like it wasn't anything. I didn't ask him, it was just, hey, we're gonna go get breakfast with David. I said, okay. Nothing. And I don't want to say it's obvious because, you don't know everything how I think and how I do things, but to me it's obvious if I would have known that that's what it was about, yeah, I would have definitely completely said, hey guys, that's not for work time. Whether the meeting place was at the park or where nobody was around or at a restaurant, that wouldn't have happened with my knowledge.
Yeah, with your level of experience, I would think that you would be able to do that, so.
Well, I don't want you to assume.
No.
So I'm telling you, that wouldn't have happened.
So if others who were on your shift indicated to us that you did have an understanding of what was occurring,
they're mistaken, absolutely.
All right, so you chose not to go simply because two folks were gonna be there?
Yeah, it was out of policy, and I was gonna stand on the street while they got breakfast.
Even with, I mean, not even knowing about the survey, knowing David's temperament at the time, do you think now, looking back in hindsight, that you might have should have asked some questions beforehand?
Looking back now, yeah, absolutely. I should have taken that into consideration. But I feel like, you know, they're all three adults and they should know how to act in public. And I don't like to micromanage my guys or to be in a personal business. If I had, again, I just didn't think it was such a concern where it needed that at the time. But again, in hindsight, yeah, absolutely, I would have reconsidered it.
Well, generally speaking, if I was in that situation, it would lead me to go, hey, all right, you've never done this up until this point in time since he's left, so what do you want to leave for? So I would think it'd be reasonable that you would have asked at least one or two questions.
Well, we had been on night shift since then, and now that we were on, so we were like on day shift only 5 days, so it was like something, you know, the timing, I think, just didn't raise any concern or any kind of question because we were already here, we weren't going home, and he was coming home, they hadn't eaten breakfast, so it was just,
I wouldn't want to consider that micromanaging for you to do that. Just to say, hey, you're just kind of watching out for your folks, make sure they're not themselves. I mean, they're relatively young officers, right?
yes, correct,
They don't really have a level of training experience either.
correct.
So that's one of the jobs of the supervisor is to watch out for his folks, make sure.
Sure.
You know.
Absolutely.
So go forward, and so after that point in time, around noon, you were in QTs.
Yeah, it was like noon and 1 o'clock. I was at QT's and checked out for a drink, and I think Kyle. I don't remember if it was Marco or Jabor. No, it wasn't Marco. It was Jaborson. They both came up and were filled me in on what was said about the survey.
Okay, so Jaboris and Kyle.
Yes.
That's it? Okay. And so what did they talk?
Just that when they met with him, that he was talking about doing a survey and asked me what I thought about it, would I think it was a good idea, and I said, well, I'll talk to him later about it and find out the details. And that's what I did. Him and I talked later on that night, and he gave me the details of it, and I asked him, well, I didn't want to participate unless it was going to be offered to everybody, and he said, yeah, it's going to be offered to everybody from the chief down. It's not necessarily a bad thing. People can say good things about what's going on in the department as well. And I said, well, yeah, then if it's something that comes up, yeah, I'd be interested in taking it.
Did you guys talk about anything else that may have occurred during the breakfast or conversations that they had?
No, only about the survey is what they mentioned to me.
Is that when you found out about the rest of the information that was listed in that text?
Yes.
So it's more than a survey.
What do you mean?
Whoever the team else would get a list of demands presented to me, and if that didn't work, they'd go to the city manager and city council.
Oh, I don't know anything about a list of demands. I didn't see anything about that.
So, but you did see this, right?
Yeah, it looks familiar. I didn't read it word for word, and I don't remember it because my thought was just all that stated later.
David, there's 3 text messages there. Go ahead and read those and see if that's the information David relayed.
Yes. That's how I explained it.
So he explained that. So at what time did you have all this information that's listed in here?
I think I called him on the way home.
On the way out that day? Okay, so when you met with the guys at QT, you didn't have that information?
No.
Okay. Nothing to do with
Well, okay, no, what I'm saying is, they showed me the text message at QT's, but I didn't read it verbatim, like I just did now. I skimmed through the first part, and my response was, well, I'll talk to David tonight. So then on my way home, he explained that to me.
So while at QT's, you didn't have all that information?
No, only vague information about, they talked about a survey that was gonna be through TNPA. I didn't have all the details or anything like that.
So what happened after that?
We went back on patrol. And that was it. Until later that night on my way home, I called Dave.
Okay, the following day? So you got that information from David that night, right?
Yes.
Once you got all that information, did that bring some concern to you about your officers and actually doing that on duty or meeting in uniform in a public place to do that? Did it raise questions for you that you should say, hey, maybe I need to let the commander know or anything like that?
No.
Nothing at all?
No, because, nothing had been, they discussed it, it had already been discussed, there was no action that had been taken, with the survey. I don't know if it would ever come to fruition or not, so.
That's reasonable. So you never thought, hey, I need to mention that to Chris or anything like that?
No, because people say things all the time that they're gonna do things or write statements or do, I'm gonna complain on this person or I'm gonna do this and that, and until it happens, it's not, to me, it just didn't seem, anything that I needed to tell them about unless something actually started taking place, and then, yeah, we mentioned something then.
Okay. So what happened then?
Nothing, you talked about that, and then that was it.
So
And then nothing happened up until,
So after you all left my office, what happened then?
I asked the guys to meet me behind HEB. I went to meet them behind HEB, and I don't remember if they got a call at McDonald's or if Commander Noble had called them. They got called away. They didn't meet me right away is what happened. And I was literally, I could see Marco's house from there, so I went and talked to Marco, told him to expect a phone call and let him know what just occurred. And at that time, him and I were talking. Jaboris and Kyle were coming down the street, and I guess they could see my patrol car there, so they came over.
So when all of you all were together, what was the conversation about?
Just that we couldn't believe your reaction to what had happened, the way you talked to us, and how we felt about the whole thing. And I could tell that I felt kind of bad because Marco was.
At any time during that conversation, did the officers and you have or discuss what your responses would be to internal affairs?
No.
Nothing at all?
No.
If I had officers who were with you at that time who said that you all did talk about what your responses would be?
I'd be shocked.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that did occur.
Okay.
So why would at least two of your officers tell me that they did discuss what to say? And you were present for them?
Yeah, you'd have to ask them. There was nothing to discuss. I mean, they had breakfast. There was nothing to. It wasn't a crime scene where we had to talk about who was going to be the getaway driver or anything like that. So that wasn't a discussion, or that wasn't something that.
Well, it wasn't just discussed about what the responses would be. Two of the officers actually responded in that manner.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
So the conversation is that they would just say they didn't recall anything about the conversation.
Oh, okay. At the breakfast?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Even though they all very well know, they would say they didn't recall. And in fact, two did.
Okay.
until pressed on it, and then they decided to go ahead and tell the truth.
I see.
So if I have them telling me ahead of time that they talked about it, they actually did it, and they came off of it, that kind of really seems to appear that that's exactly what they did. They did it. And you're telling me that didn't happen.
All I remember is reiterating what you said, and I was just totally beside myself. I've never seen you act like that. I felt disrespected, and
I'm not about that.
well, I'm telling you my frame of mind. That's maybe why I wasn't paying attention to that. But
It's pretty clear, President, you were police chief, right?
sure, absolutely.
How long have you been in law enforcement?
20 years.
If there's a conversation about what to say in an internal affairs investigation prior to occurring with a group of individuals, it's a pretty big deal, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And in 20 years, it was a big deal of how you made me feel, and I've never had anyone disrespect me like that in uniform. So I was pretty beside myself.
So, don't recall anything like that.
Not to that specific discussion, no.
So,
Like I said, we were there for a very short time.
so what occurred after that?
A call came through, and we went back on patrol, and we didn't discuss anything after that. Up until, well, we didn't discuss it, but nothing else happened up until shift change when we got our notice of do not discuss.
Have you had any text messages, emails, or conversations with anyone after your do not discuss one?
Yes, but not about this.
About this case?
No, not about the case.
No one at all really knows?
No. Well, just in general, like asking about, hey, you know, have you heard anything?
No
You know,
specific
where's your
things.
hearing? No specific things.
So, have you had any conversation with anybody outside the police department about it?
No. I'm not gonna put myself in a position where I'm causing myself any more problems.
Has anybody kind of given you information related to this case that you didn't ask for?
No.
I'll come back to a couple of questions here, just a little bit personal, and let you talk.
When we discussed the social media posts,
Correct.
particularly ones that had Chief South's name tagged to it as Pollard's name as well. About the text messages, or I'm sorry, about the postings that had, one had Chief South's name tagged to it, another had B.A. Pollard attached to it. Can you explain those?
Yeah, real quick, that second page there, go back to the page that you have.
Here, I'll switch with you.
So this was never brought up to us. Why is this in here?
That's just one of the photos that was sent to me.
Okay.
And it is not a matter that related to any questions I can ask you.
Okay.
It was not used for any consideration.
Okay.
Which one were you asking about, Chris?
Now, south.
Right. So so I know I talked to you about that, and I think the best way to explain that is and I've done it before, and you've seen me do it before, and I think you may have done it before in the patrol room. So you have a bunch of guys talking, and they're talking freely and loosely, and then you say, "Oh, hey, Chief, how's it going?" And then everybody's like, you know, it gets a reaction like, "Oh crap, you know, I just said I'm talking freely," and you know, Chief's behind me, or "Hey, Sergeant Pollard, what's up?" You know, and they're like, "Oh shit," you know. But so that's basically the typed version of during that discussion.
Is that a meeting, Chris, that is attached to that?
This?
Yeah.
No, it's just a GIF, or whatever. It has a little, it's like plays like a 2-second deal.
So what does it say?
That one? No, I don't. Girls only want boyfriends who have great skills. But the thing is you have to understand that I wasn't tagging you in that. It's an ongoing conversation, so it was something above that. It wasn't to that. I think I did the skills things to Sergeant Pollard, I think. At BA Pollard.
To the email.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, so it's like like for instance, the don't be hating and then the BA Pollard, that's out of context because that's not a response to that. That was something else. It's like, I think several people were on there, so when you're commenting, like I'm actively commenting to your comment, but then you comment on something, so now you're in between him and I. So you have to read the whole thing, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
What was the context of it?
I don't know, it was so long ago, I really don't know. Another insignificant, I just put my 2 cents in, as you saw, I got some laughs, and it was just something funny, and that was it, just moved on.
So what you said is not tagged in me, what's tagged in there?
That's what I'm saying, it must have been something, either the whole conversation before whatever started, or it was just funny to get a reaction, like I said, like if the guys are just talking loosely and you're like, oh, hey chief, does that make sense to you? And then they're like, oh crap.
Actually, no.
Okay, so let's say I'm like, man, I just got this report you got. I'm not fixing this stuff. And then you're like, oh, hey chief. As if you're standing behind me, but you're really not. It's just a joke. You know? Does that make sense?
That being said, then why don't you say the chief or something like that rather than his name?
At Peace South? No thought behind it. It was just, it was on a private account, so it's not like the public sees it anyway.
Based upon the people that are in this string that are non-employees or former employees, and those that are in the string that either are or maybe not commented but are in it, is it appropriate to be tagging employees' names to memes?
Well, so you don't know it's an employee unless you've worked here, right?
Then I'm just saying, we know the employees.
Okay.
We know because of the names. And those other people that are involved in it, particularly like Isaac, Kyle, whether they're actively participating or not.
Right.
So these are subordinate peers,
Yeah.
right?
They're subordinates.
You're talking about peers and your supervisors, correct?
I wouldn't say talking about you. Like, what do you mean by that?
Well, you're tagging us doing different things, so we're part of that conversation, and whether what you're saying is a joking one. But that's basically what you're doing.
And it's a continuation on it, like after, the BA Pollard pops up, then a picture of He-Man. Because we all know Pollard about physical fitness.
So that's not offensive. It's just.
Well, but it's still mocking.
Oh, okay.
And then, then you can't, control what other people put in there, but, about who is this? You say chief, you're only chief to your statement or something of that nature. I know that's not your post,
Sure.
but it goes into the totality of the string context and content of who else is seeing this and the mocking of the chief or Pollard. And then, of course, there's one regarding me, which you showed that to me when you created it. Yes, it was funny when it was between you and I. But on social media, it's not funny. And
Well, first of all, it is funny. Just because you don't find it funny doesn't mean other people do. And I explained to you that this had nothing to do with you personally. my means about police work have to do with my experience in policing, and they don't involve anybody here specifically, and that didn't have anything to do with you.
Chris, let me ask you this question.
Sure.
In our policy, is it allowed to take peers, subordinates, supervisors, and post things that could be construed in a derogatory manner?
No.
Is it a violation of policy?
Yes, absolutely. If I specifically name someone or put someone in there, sure, absolutely.
So, when there's names in this one,
Whose name is in that one?
well, there's P South, there's,
Oh, I thought we were talking about.
I'm talking about all of them.
Oh, okay. No, then, so I would say to you, then I would ask if those people found it derogatory, or did it was just a joke in passing. If your Commander Noble can tell you if it turned.
We're trying to get you to understand, Chris, is that what you may consider a joke to you may not be a joke to somebody else. And you need to be cognizant of that.
Sure.
Particularly with your professional working environment.
Absolutely.
Remember in your evaluation, put in there, your sensitivity?
I do. I remember exactly what you said. And I can also tell you that tagging B. Pollard or B.A. Pollard or you, it's nothing that I wouldn't say in front of you there at the police department. Pollard and I have had a not such a great relationship, but we also, razz each other in front of each other too. So we do have professionalism about ourselves. We can make fun of each other and ourselves, and it's nothing that I put in there that I wouldn't say in front of them and that we haven't joked about during shift changes. So we try to keep it pretty loose.
Do you see the point I'm trying to make?
Yes, absolutely. I see the point you're trying to make, and I would never put you in a meme that said, you're a clown, or Chief South's a clown, look at this clown, specifically like that. I didn't think that, I didn't see it as you're seeing it until now you're explaining it. Sure.
It'd be no different than if I posted it at seawall on some string that you're not involved in, but other people that I am with, that it's funny to me, but if you look at it, I feel it would be funny to you. That is exactly, just trying to get you to understand the perception.
Sure.
And perception, we all know what perceptions are.
I can see the perception, absolutely.
Fun in personal life is one thing, a business life, as you know, is a separate entity.
Absolutely.
And what I'm seeing here is your inability to distinguish between the two.
Okay. But again, I have to reiterate that wasn't on a public post.
Understood.
Okay. It wasn't like I was out in public saying, hey, at P South, or hey, at, B.A. Pollard, or whoever.
But regrettably, circumstances, it came to light. It is about.
Yeah. Regrettably, it came right after we got complained on. I think it's very strange, but yeah, you're right.
Well, this is what I tell everybody. Somebody's watching, somebody's gonna take a picture of it.
Yeah. It's just weird that it wasn't like that one, for instance. It's strange that it's only a problem. It wasn't a problem a month ago when I posted it just now. So, just suspicious. But things are weird, yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, are you insinuating something about it, Chris?
Oh, just that it's just a coincidence. Quite a strange coincidence is all.
Why is it strange?
Because again, I've been posting memes for over 2 years, and now that I'm under investigation, now it's a problem. So.
I've never known about any of that.
Exactly. So isn't that weird?
Somebody wants to bring something up.
Yeah, it's just the timing. It's just really strange.
I had no idea those even existed.
I'm sure you didn't. You're not on social media, right? Yeah, it's understandable.
But that goes back to the whole point that if it was funny to group,
Yeah, I get
but
that.
once the person who has no knowledge of it,
Yeah.
has knowledge of it,
Yeah,
it's not funny.
sure.
And so
Absolutely.
what's the impact that you're having on your subordinates?
What did they relay the impact was?
That's,
That's not what we're asking.
Oh,
I'm
okay, that's
saying,
what, oh, and like,
what is your thinking of they see these things.
They're gonna think that's okay.
Right.
Did you imitate your sergeant when you were there? When you
Did I what?
Did you have a tendency, if your sergeant did certain things certain ways, would you think that those things were okay to do too if you're a young officer?
Oh, you're talking about influence? Yeah, absolutely.
So you can see you're influencing a young group of officers. Is that in a professional way? There's a difference between being a supervisor and being buddies.
Yep.
What does the city of Logan pay you to do?
Be a supervisor.
And you think that this is part of that?
I think that, can I talk to him real quick?
After you
You mind?
answer my question.
Okay. What was the question again?
Do you think that that's a professional way of doing it?
Okay, well, I think that what you're saying is true, that it's, joking around and being buddies is not what I'm hired for, and is it influenced? Does it influence them? Yes. And not trying to throw you under the bus, but Commander Noble is present when a lot of those joking times come about, and so if you're saying, does it influence those guys to think that it's okay that I do it? Yeah, and I think that it's okay if Commander Noble, jokes with us and sits there and does the same thing. So to me, it's just, we're being loose, and it's the culture of what's going on there, We're just loose, and it's nothing that him or I or anybody else is trying to dig at anybody. It's just, there's a time and a place for us to have fellowship and to be loose, and there's a time to be serious, and he knows when it's time to be serious and work. I know when it's time to be serious and work, and the guys know when it's time to be serious to work. So there is a balance of professionalism and home life, or how did you describe it? Personal life and professionalism, but they go together, I think it's important for me to know.
But that's not treating, not by leading, not by example, by doing these types of things necessarily isn't something you're not, and then they're going to think that's okay to do. There's got to be a separation when you do those types of things.
I got you.
Is there not a difference when we're all in the squad room, chatting, talking, yes, and making jokes, as opposed to, because we're all there face to face,
Right.
as
But,
opposed to social media, where that other person is not able to be part of the conversation, to be part of that time, and respond to it.
you're right, but we've also had plenty of conversations that when people are not around, and we joke about them. Do we not? Okay. So, I don't see.
Are any of your conversations with the lieutenant or Commander Noble on social media?
No.
Okay. Are any of them made around other subordinates?
Yes.
Did any of the other subordinates indicate that that was something that bothered them?
No.
Do you want to meet with your attorney?
Nope.
Tiger, did you want to meet with him?
Nope.
I kind of thought that was strange. How come you're keeping all this kind of stuff?
What is that?
Is that your desk?
Yep, that's my desk.
So what's the purpose of doing that?
Which part?
The name tags.
No purpose at all. They were on my desk, and somebody had put them on my desk, and I put them in my desk.
Are those current employees?
No.
They're all former employees, right?
Yes, they are.
Who kept those?
I don't know, they were on my desk after they left, and I just slid them in my desk. I didn't
on
put
your
them all in
desk
order
after-
like that either.
They were on your desk after they left.
Correct.
After those individuals left or after Gerloff left?
I don't remember a specific time when they were all on my desk.
Did you get those from Dave?
No. No, I mean, like, when I came in, like, they would be on my desk, like, I don't know who put them there.
That someone just randomly appear on your desk like that?
Yeah, like, someone put a chocolate dick on my desk, like, I don't know who, people put stuff on my desk to be funny, like, or to just put stuff on my desk, I don't know, I've gotten all kinds of stuff on my desk.
Did you ask your fellow supervisors and stuff, and what the heck is this doing on my desk for?
No, because it might not have been them.
But you kept it, right?
Yeah, I put them on my desk.
What would be the purpose of keeping them if you didn't put them there?
No reason. As you can see, I have random stuff on my desk. I have a toy, I have a badge, I have sunglass case, I have business cards, notepads, all kinds of stuff in there.
Switch back. Did you have any more questions, Chris?
No.
Tell me about the shift shirts.
Just a morale thing. EPD, US 290.
Did you get approval for those shirts?
Nope. I didn't know I needed to get approval.
If it says, do you have the ability to represent the Oakland Police Department independently of?
It didn't say open. I mean, nobody knows it's open except us.
Once again, do you have the individual authority to put something on a t-shirt like that?
I mean, it could be ULIS PD, it could be Eugene PD.
It's a yes or no question, Chris. Do you have authority to do that or not?
No.
No, you do not. Okay, and you said in your interview that you tag officers to different departments all the time.
Yes, sir. Been doing that for 2 years.
Do you know of any other examples you could tell me of where you did that?
Temple, Round Rock, Laredo, El Paso, and maybe a couple others that have come up randomly on the Facebook page.
How did that get started?
People saying that they want to leave here and that they're not happy here, so it started just as a joke. Well, here you go, apply here, they're hiring, and then it just was funny, and it just kind of went off from there. Like Commander Noble said, I understand why sense of humor is not for everybody. That's why I didn't tag everybody. It's just a few guys that know that, we have inside jokes, and that's it.
Let's see the dates. When were the dates on these?
No dates provided. There's no dates.
Do you still have this on your phone?
What is it?
Between Chris Wall, Kyle Wooten, I'm assuming, and nobody recognizes the third one.
Maybe, I'm just going to say JD, DuBois Dickerson. Is that what you said?
Do you still have this?
No.
Do you know what about that? What time frame was that coming out?
I think that was probably about a week after, maybe a week or so after we left your office. And I sent a message to the guys about, keeping your head up, that they're good guys, and so forth. Yeah, I would say about a week after, because nobody was hearing anything. The guys were obviously sick to their stomachs. They thought they were getting fired and everything. Nobody had reached out to them, so I sent them a message just to say, is that the message?
I'm sure it's hard to read.
Yeah, it is hard to read, but. Yeah, that's my text. You want me to read it to you?
Most of it. Gives me a headache to read it, but I get most of it.
It's a little blurry. I think that, I see you and Commander Noble's concerns about my leadership. I think that, if you ask Commander Noble, he'll tell you that, my shift is one of the most productive shifts here in the city. I have some good guys that would do anything for me, and I'd do anything for them, so I think that,
Well,
I think that counts for something.
I've known you since you've been here, when I hired you. You have good abilities, and you are an exceptional supervisor. There's rough edges we need to work out, and some developmental issues we still need to work on with you. But then it really kind of seemed after David was fired, you kind of turned a little bit, and I wouldn't say being disgruntled, but definitely something that needed changed to where there were starting to be some issues. And I don't really know if that was the catalyst for it or something else. So, do you think it was different, or was that something that was so significant before you decided to change the way you were?
I don't recall anything specific that's changed in my demeanor. I mean, maybe if you could point something out, I could definitely.
So a lot of just comments, conversations about folks about you being more negative, really not supportive of the police department, those kind of things. It's
Just stuff you hear here and there.
Yeah, we go up and down in our career. Sometimes we're good, sometimes we're bad. It seemed like once David got fired, you kind of tanked there for a little bit.
Yeah, so I don't think it wasn't so much that David got fired. I think I've struggled with the fact that you asked me to change some of the wording of my report. I think that really.
Actually, I just told you to take certain.
You take certain things off, correct?
What
Which
did
is
I tell you to take?
my summaries.
No, I told you to take out conclusions.
Well, it's a summary conclusion, correct?
So because you're an investigator, when you have no business making a conclusion, you are just there to present the facts. Is that what I told you?
Not specifically.
That's specifically what I told you.
Okay. Well, what I recall you saying in the hallway was that I needed you to take those out because it makes it easier for me to fire David. That's what you said downstairs in the hallway. Right before you walked into Lieutenant Noble's office.
When exactly would I have made that comment?
I don't know what date it was, but it was after the third time I was asked to take something out of the report, and I hadn't seen you. You had asked, I guess, Commander Noble to ask me to take certain parts out, and then I was asked one time by Chief Taylor to take something out, and then you asked me downstairs. I saw you after that, and you asked me if I. Right. And then you asked me, you were coming in one day, and you asked me, did I remember, did I have the report finished? And I said, yes, I turned it in. I think Chief Taylor had it at that time, because Commander Noble was gone for some reason. And you said, you know why I asked you to take that out, right? And I said, I don't remember if I said yes or no, but you said, okay, it makes it easier for me to fire David.
I need a specific date from when that occurred, so I'll go back and we'll pull the cameras up.
Okay. I think you were wearing a green shirt and the dark tan pants.
You need to provide a date for that.
Okay. Why, not to disrespect you, why do I need to provide it?
Because you dissipated an allegation that I basically wanted to fire
I
somebody.
didn't make an allegation, I'm just,
Prior to,
I'm not alleging anything, I didn't put anything on paper, I'm just answering your
Chris.
questions, sir.
I'm answering what you're asking me to write me down. It's real simple, you just made an allegation that I concluded to fire an employee prior to completing the investigation. What I told you, you can pull this up on camera too, it's very simple. You're not the one to make conclusions as the investigator. You made a number of conclusions, and I had you remove those. It's very simple. They were one line as to whether or not you wanted to sustain or you thought it should be sustained or not sustained. That's the only thing I had you remove. Because that's not your place to do it. And I believe that's exactly what I gave you, the instruction box, that I had to send it back down more than one time to have it done.
Right.
Yeah, he relayed your message, but it's just, again, I had done it the way that I had submitted the first time, I had done that with other officers, and you accepted it the way it was.
That was your first internal affairs.
Oh, it wasn't. I did Jeremy's before that, and I did Chelsea's before that.
Those were the ones I didn't see.
You didn't see Jeremy's?
Jeremy's I did. I don't recall that being in Jeremy's.
It was in every charge that he had, I had.
I'll go back and look. You didn't make any, nobody made any conclusions.
And I was only filling out the portions of the form that's what it asked for, so, and that was what I was provided to me.
Any other questions?
No questions.
Tiger, do you have anything you want to say?
Yes, sir.
Do you have anything you want to say in summary for us?
Me? No, sir.
You all-
Other than I'm not disgruntled, I like working here, I love the city, I love the people here, I love the guys here. I don't have, you know, I think that, again, I'm over the ethics thing. I think that the ethics is not on me. I think it's a reflection of the ethics on you. So I feel good to myself that I'm doing the right thing, you know. So I'm good. I'm ready to work and move forward and
Okay, what do you mean the ethics thing? What are you talking about?
just like I said about removing things from the case that I did from the internal affairs. I mean, you're the chief of police, right? You can make any decision you want. You can override anything. So it doesn't make sense that if I just left what was in there for you to just override it anyway.
Because
And
it's
write your own
not
story.
what your job was.
Okay, I understand that.
Unfortunately, you don't see the way.
I don't get it because it's not an opinion. It was based on facts, and that's what internal
Go ahead,
affairs
that's
is.
for me. Y'all go ahead and adjourn. I'll call you back in just a little bit.
All right.
Back up.
Yes.
You running?
That's right.
Okay, go right on.
No, we also reconvened disciplinary hearing for Sergeant Chris Wall, ID case number 2020-02. There's a couple things I use this from the discipline related to this case, Chris. One, you've been a very valuable employee,
I appreciate that.
and you've done an exceptional job as a supervisor, but we do need to train and provide you some additional training as a supervisor.
Absolutely.
The failure to provide leadership in this case is going to remain sustained.
Okay.
And I'm going to utilize education-based discipline.
Okay.
You'll be placed on a 180-day performance improvement plan that will be developed around supervisory development for you.
Okay.
If you successfully complete that program, the final discipline in this case will be a written reprimand.
Okay.
If you fail to complete it in the time that's allowed, then you'll be subject to additional discipline and including termination.
Understood. And that will be outlined,
You'll get copies of that. And
like what the training is and everything, will be outlined in.
Commander Noble will be doing that with you. You'll have all that available. You can just. No, any other questions, gentlemen?
That's it.
All right.
Or copies of that, the sustained one, will that, I get a copy of that later, or?
Copy this.
Oh, okay, but what are you signing that?
That's
It's a control sheet. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
saying what the punishment is.
Okay, gotcha. That's it?
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
It's gonna be a couple of weeks before I outline anything.
Now on your
Put on
shift,
schedule.
I'm gonna insert you over where Dudley is and Brett Fillion and Hector Carter,
Nice.
because they're, well, hang on. I gotta work, I forgot about coffee. That's a whole nother issue I need to.
Okay, so
need
he's
to
out,
look
right?
at. Yeah, he's gonna be out for 10 weeks.
Okay.
And we'll work on it because we got shift change coming up in about the same amount of time, so we'll figure it out.
Okay.
I'll get with you and
So-
we'll sit down and go over the schedule because I need you to tell me to work on the schedule.
Okay, so I'm off tomorrow, but if you call me later and I need to come in, let me know, or else I'm supposed to work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Still want me on day shift, or you just get with me later?
Just plan on being on day shift until we sit down and work it out otherwise.
That'll work, yes, sir?
Right?
Okay, thank you, thank you.
And I just, for you guys, want to reiterate, you're incredibly valuable.
Need a break? I'm sorry.
No, I'm just telling him, I think he's an incredibly valuable part of this department.
I appreciate that, sir.
And I think it's in our best interest that we all work together.
I'm open to that.
And, I mean, that's really all I got to say. You know, I like working with you. You're a fun guy. But, you know, bright line business.
I get it, I see that.
And we'll go from there.
And I'm looking to make changes. Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank you.